sweets, and welcome back to my channel. I'm happy that you are back here, and if it is the first time that you are tuning in, thank you very much. My name is Yancy. I'm a makeup artist by profession, and also I am a nail technician. Today I'm gonna give my review or slash my opinion in the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self Refreshing Foundation. I'm in the shade 230 Alder. This is the uni card, and this is the actual foundation itself. It is a glass bottle, so if you are a little bit clumsy, you have to be careful with this one. Also, it comes with a pump. If you want to unlock it, you have to twist it. You dispense the foundation that you're gonna use, and then you twist it again, and then you lock it. That is a very good feature of this packaging. The foundation itself has a broad spectrum of 30, but that doesn't mean that you skip your sunscreen because the foundation itself has a broad spectrum. You always need to wear a sunscreen. I wore this 4 times with different primers. Today is the 4th, and I have been wearing it for almost 4 hours, and this is how my complexion looks. Today is a really hot day in my country, so that gives you a little bit of overview of how she performs. I have a normal skin type. Also, I'm over 35 years old. I don't like to wear a lot of complexion makeup. Every time I'm apply foundation to do as light as I can. I'm not into full coverage. I don't like matte foundations in myself. I like to see it in some other people, and I enjoy seeing how other people look with full coverage and matte foundations. I think that in myself, I age around 10 years, and I don't want to age more than I already are. I'm going to put the 4 clips of every time that I wore this foundation, starting with the first time. The first time that I wore this, I used the Touch in Soul Pretty Filter Glassy primer. Then I applied the foundation. To correct my darkness, I went with the Bobbi Brown Corrector in the shade Bisque. I used the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless 24-Hour Concealer in the shade Light Medium Cream Peach. Then I set my concealer with the Maybelline New York Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade 05 Fair. Then for my entire complexion, I used the Covergirl Vitalist Healthy Powder in the shade 725 Buff Beige. Then I went with the Pacifica Bronze Rose, which is a duo. Then I went with the Ofra Nikkie Tutorials Highlighter in the shade Glow Goals. To set everything in place, I went with the In Beauty Project Dual Face Setting Mist. This first time, everything worked super cute. I really like how the foundation performed and how it looked in my complexion. I wore this for almost 8 hours that first time. For the second time that I wore this foundation, I start with the Pure 4-in-1 Correcting Primer, Energize and Rescue. Then I went with the foundation. For concealer, I went with the Revlon Photoready Candid concealer in the shade 10 Vanilla. To set everything in place for my under eye, I went with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Powder. And to set my entire complexion, I went with the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. My blush, I went with the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12 Hours in the shade Shima and Shake. For highlighter, I went with the ColourPop Super Shock Chic in the shade Wisp. And for bronzer, I went with the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Bronzer in the shade Park Avenue Princess. And to set my entire complexion, I went with the Mario Badescu Facial Spray. I wore this time my complexion products for almost 4 hours and a half, and everything performed the same way as it did the first time. The third try, I used the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I used 2 pumps of the foundation. For my under eye, I went with the Bobbi Brown Corrector in the shade Bisque. Also, I use the Pretty Vulgar Undercover Concealer in the shade 63, the middle ground. I set my under eye with the Maybelline New York Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade 05 Fair. For my entire complexion, I went with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch in the shade Butter. Bronzer slash contour, I went with the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Contour in the shade 814 Medium. For blush, I went with the Laura Geller Bake Blush and Brightener in the shade Tropic Hues. Then I went with the Laura Sanchez Moods for highlighter. And to set everything in place, I went with the In Beauty Project Power Up Dual Face Setting Mist. Also, as the other 2 times that I wore this foundation, everything worked beautifully. I think that this time I went the entire day. I hit the 14-hour mark, and yeah, it didn't break apart. It didn't do anything strange in my nose, which are the parts that usually foundation breaks, and it didn't. I do have expression lines, which is my smile lines and the ones in my forehead, but she didn't sink into either of them. So that was a perfect makeup day. And today, which is the 4th time, I start my makeup routine with the Touch in Sol No Pore Blend Primer. Then I apply the foundation, just 1 pump, by the way. Then I use for the first time, which I'm trying it, and so far it is an A+, the Becca Anti-Puffiness Under Eye Primer. Then I use the Bobbi Brown Corrector in the shade Bisque. For concealer, I went with the Revlon Photoready Candid Concealer in the shade 10 Vanilla. To set my under eye, I went with the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. For my entire complexion, I went with the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder. Bronzer, I went with the Bobbi Brown Bronzing Powder in the shade Medium. For blush, which I use a cream blush on top of all my powders, the H&M Pure Velvet Cream Blusher in the shade Cameo Brown. And by the way, it didn't break anything. It didn't remove my foundation. It worked like a dream on top of a set foundation. Then I used the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter in the shade 10 Be My Highlighter. And to set everything in place, I went with the Skin & Co. Truffle Therapy Illuminating Skin Refresh Mist. 4 times that I use it, it works beautifully. So in my opinion, remembering the part, I have a normal skin, over 35, and I use a really light application of foundation. I don't use much. I think I only use 1 time 2 pumps and another time 1.5 pumps. So my foundation application is really light. Taking all that points in consideration, I love foundation Perform. I really like it a lot. I would recommend this foundation. In my opinion, this is a foundation that everybody can use. Just remember to prep your skin properly. If you have oily skin, use a mattifying and oil control primer. If you have really dry skin, use a hydrating primer. Remember to use primer in the areas of your face that is needed, meaning that if you are oily in your T-zone, use a mattifying and an oil control primer just in your T-zone. If you are dry in this area, just there apply a hydrating primer. If you have normal skin in the perimeter of your face, apply a regular primer there. Everything will perform better if you tackle the areas with the attention that each one of them have. Don't apply products that your complexion doesn't need. So sweets, this is it. This is everything. If you like what I'm wearing in my face today, it will be in another video. I'm using one of the Huda Beauty nude palettes in the shade Light, and so far I really like it a lot. So I hope you do as well, and if you did, press the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I really appreciate it. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a video, press the notifications bell. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.